Hi there, and welcome to Pimp Your Science. Let me share with you a few tips and tricks that will help you to build an outstanding presentation. I will cover here topics like how to overcome the fear of public speaking, how to make a powerful ending of your presentations, also how to handle questions during your presentation, and give you some rules of thumb that will help you preparing the presentation itself. So let us talk first about two burning issues that always pop up when it comes to public speaking. And this is fear of talking in front of the audience and being questioned by the audience. I know that most of people when giving their presentation, especially young researchers, feel very small in front of the expert crowd. Also, sometimes people feel as naked or left alone with the sharks. Most of the time, I felt like being in an electric chair just waiting to be executed. So no wonder most of us feel as flipping out once on the stage, or rather disappearing from the face of this earth once we are on the stage. As a result, some people tend to speak too fast or too slow once on the stage. Also, some take strange body postures or completely change their behavior. And all that because of the stress. However, I would like to emphasize here, there is no need for fear. Your audience is your friend. They are there to learn something from you. And even more, once you are on the stage, you get these superpowers that protect you from all harm. Nevertheless, the only way to fight off the fear of public speaking is to practice, step by step. First, you should practice alone in an empty room, you and the projector. Once you feel confident, you can also invite few of your trusted colleagues or friends to listen to you. So you get adjusted not only now to the room, but also to presence of people. You should then also practice within your research groups. These are the people that know your work, and you will feel much more relaxed than on the next step, which is in front of your department. Again, these are the people you know, so it will not be so difficult. But practicing will make you strong, and you can do then talks on small local scientific meetings and conferences. And all that will prepare you to give a talk at a great scientific conference. Preparing, practicing, and giving talks is the only tool that can fight off the fear of public speaking. In addition, there is a great method to speed up the whole process. To tape yourself while giving a presentation, while practicing presentation. You can ask a colleague to bring a small camera, or you can use even your mobile phone to tape yourself while giving a presentation and then analyze it afterwards on your computer. You will be amazed how much you can learn about yourself and the way you are giving your presentation through this. You can then, with this knowledge, repeat the process, practice again, tape yourself again, analyze again, until it's perfect. Okay, let's say now you have practice, you are now giving your talk, everything goes smoothly, and in the middle of the talk, somebody is raising the hand. And if this somebody tends to be a senior audience member, some researchers tend to block and stop thinking. However, you're not doing that because you know that this is a good thing. This means that audience is paying attention and they're raising their hand because either something is not clear and they want you to clarify that so they can follow you further, or they have a great idea or great suggestion that they want to share now, which is also exciting. It's even a short back on track break, even for some percentage of audience that fell asleep, unfortunately. This will be a waking up call, so they can then continue listening to you. When answering questions during your talk, be always concise and go straight to the point. This will save your time. You can come back to this point if it's interesting or you have more to say later in a discussion session. Also, if you don't know the answer or you think the answer will take so much time, you should kindly ask the person that posed the question just to wait until the discussion session when you will address it in more details. Before I cover the question and answer part of your talk, let me now first address how to make a powerful ending of your presentation. I have also noticed that by the end of presentation, many speakers start lacking the energy, and they conclude with the sentences like, well, this is all what I had to present, or similar. However, your conclusion or summary part is the most powerful part of your presentation, because here again you're emphasizing your findings and importance of your findings. When you are doing that, don't be modest. You can even overdo it, overemphasize everything, because this is not a scientific paper. This is a presentation where you need also to show your enthusiasm and motivation to work, and again, to convey that message and this motivation and fascination with the science to your audience. When it's come to acknowledgments, people usually put that at the end of the presentation. However, if you want to give more emphasis to the people that helped, you can put it on the beginning, or you can mention people during your talk as the figures appear that they help with. Thank you, thank you, thank you is always good to say, and it's always good to hear. And please, be creative. Saying something like, I want to thank my supervisor for giving me my opportunity to work in his or her lab is as boring as saying, I want to thank my mother for giving birth to me. You have to think about how did people influence you and how did they help you, and to emphasize that. Be thankful for that. When we are talking about ending presentation, there is this eternal problem of running out of time, which usually means you didn't practice. Anyway, if you are on a conference or on a meeting, never ever pass your time. Even if you see you're in the middle of presentation, but the red light just went off, you should summarize your last thought and calmly go to your conclusion slide. Afterwards, you can invite your audience to chat with you because you have more data to show and you can bring your laptop. But don't pass your time. It's rude to the audience, it's rude to the next speaker. It shows that you don't respect their time, and what you will get is they will not respect your message. And you want your message across. Of course, if you are invited to give less formal talk in a length of 30 to 45 minutes, going over time up to 5 minutes, it's okay. But always confirm the time slot schedule for your talk. And please, never ever say, I'm out of time and I know that, but if you are interested, I can share another story with you. Because nobody will say, no, we are not interested. However, after 45 minutes, everybody wants to go out of the seminar room. And in that way, you're going to convey a wrong message that you want to show how great you are, how many results you have, and how self-centric you are. And this is not what you want to convey. Everybody will forget the main message you actually placed on time in your first part of the talk. So, don't do it. Okay, here we are, the question and answer session. And I know some people are freaking out on the thought of Q&A session because they're afraid that there will be some nasty questions that will put them down. However, you need to remember what I have told you previously. Audience is your friend, and while presenting, a universe is protecting you because you are the hero of the day. So just be cool and answer as best as you can. And it is okay if you don't know everything. Doing science is about acquiring new knowledge. And many questions would actually force you not to say what you know, but to say what you actually think about it. During the discussion section, you may actually face 3 major types of questions. So one type of questions will feel like a heavy attack on your data, on your work and your conclusions. Second type of questions would seem more like curiosity driven, starting with what if. And the third type of questions would be actually not questions at all, but comments of a senior audience member that actually want to put their own opinion about the whole story. However, whatever question you get, don't be intimidated by them. What you should do, you should practice your critical thinking in answering the heavy fight question. You should practice your imagination in answering what if or what do you think questions. And you should practice listening skills if a senior audience member wants to present his or her view. However, no matter what the question is, always remember to start your answer with some of the following phrases. That's a great question. An excellent point. Thanks for that important remark. You got the point. The whole idea here is to show appreciation for the posed question. It is not easy to give a presentation, but it's also not easy to raise a hand and ask a question. Through this, you will encourage other people in the audience to also raise the hand because they will see that you welcome questions. And remember, there are no difficult questions. For example, if somebody questions your method, that seems difficult. However, you should just simply acknowledge that you know the pitfalls of the method and say that was the best choice at that moment. However, you did all experiments with the same method so you can compare. Also, in a case of a persistent disagreement, either for interpretation or for the method chosen or whatever, you can invite the person to discuss the issue afterwards, after the seminar, in a friendly tone. You can say something like, "Wow, I would like to hear more about that," or "I like your point of view, we should discuss that," or "You really make me think," or something like that. Even saying, "Wow, we should collaborate and clarify that issue." First, this shows engagement, and second, it shows that you think like a real scientist. If you need time to think about the question and about the answer, what you can do is you can ask the person to repeat the question. Or you can repeat the question yourself, and while doing that, you can think about the answer a bit. Or you can simply say, "Okay, let me think." But don't think too long, because seconds, when there is absolute silence, look like minutes. However, if you don't know the answer that you actually should know, don't freak out. Just say simple things like, "Oh, I haven't think about it. Why don't you tell me more?" Or, "Wow, interesting. I will have to look it up." Or things like that. However, if it's really important that you know the answer, or it's not important, however, you have to say something, you can use the oldest trick in a book. You can answer a related question and make it a bit longer, because while you are answering it, the audience will actually forget the question. Nice, huh? My final piece of advice considering the Q&A session is to practice it. Invite few colleagues and ask them to challenge and question you. The tougher the question, the better. Okay, let us now relax with few rules of thumb that will help you design and build your presentation. The first rule would be that one slide should equal 1 minute. Of course, this is an average, and for some you will need more and for some you will need less time. But for the first run before practice, keep this rule and adjust afterwards accordingly. Likewise, one nicely labeled figure worth 100 words. So think about when preparing figures not to overcrowd them and not to put a lot of data, nicely label them so it becomes clear. So you can only use subheadings, titles, or bullet points to explain that and to convey a message of each figure throughout your presentation. Okay, when it comes to font size, the best thing, of course, is to go into the lecture room where you're going to present your data and sit in the back row, go through presentation, and if you see all the text and you see all the details of your figures, then you are fine. However, not every time you have this opportunity, so here are some advices or tips what kind of a font size should you use for different kind of text in your presentation. For example, for references, you should use 18 points font size. If you have text and keep the text to the minimum, you can use 24 points. For bullet points and strong messages, 32 points. And for titles and headings, 44 points. When it comes to the font type, people usually recommend sans serif. I use Arial font because it's easier to see when they are projected on a big screen. But that's up to your style. You should also keep your background simple. If you have a plain white background, it gives you a lot of freedom to play with your text, with your figures, and with your images. White background is also good in small rooms because it opens up the space. However, if you are going to present some confocal images or some dark images, black background is perfect. Likewise, if you are presenting in a big conference room, something like this, dark bluish background makes the whole atmosphere a bit more cozy. So some people prefer to use it. I personally prefer to use it white backgrounds when I give my scientific presentations because then I don't distract audience from my text and my figures by the colors of the background. White background is also good if you want to use colors to highlight your text, for example. But please use colors meaningfully and sparsely. And please remember that the black letters on a blue background or yellow letters on a white background are not really visible. Similarly, yellow, red, and green or blue are visible, but after a while your brain starts to hurt. You should also remember that 10% of your audience is actually colorblind, and they will not see a difference between these two pairs of colors. On the left, red and green, and on the right, blue and green. So if you, for example, present your data in a form of columns, and you use these combinations, and you refer in your talk to them as red or green, 10% of your audience will not know where to look. So be careful with this. And please avoid writing full sentences. We said you should keep the text to the minimum. The best thing is to write bullet points. And if you're writing bullet points, use 3 to 4 bullet points per page, maximum. The truth here is that we humans kind of tend to remember in threes. So for example, if I say Peter, John, and Adam went hiking, you will remember that this is Peter, John, and Adam. However, if I say Susan, Mary, Elizabeth, and Patricia are going to school, you already have a hard time remembering all names. So 4 would be a max bullet points per page. Also, slide appearance should be consistent throughout your presentation, meaning font and colors should be always used in the same way. Finally, no capitalization of words because these, although you want to emphasize them, are actually reading words. Finally, prepare for the unthinkable. For example, try out your presentation well before seminar. I was actually on the Institute seminar where a well-recognized scientist and great speaker was invited. However, we had to wait 45 minutes until they set up the laptop and the presentation. You can imagine that 90% of the crowd actually left. Also, bring your laptop and power supply. Don't only bring your USB presentation. Bring all necessary adapters. If you're traveling to a different continent, don't assume they have adapters for you. And back up your slides, also as PDF on memory stick or whatever. You need to be ready if the volcano is erupting to hold your presentation. If you follow these tips and tricks how to prepare and deliver your presentation, people in your audience will think, finally, a good presentation that I can follow and learn something from it. And this is exactly what you want.